What's goody, mob? It's your guy Bendu, and the AOC saga continues. So, I've kind of been distanced. It's not too far away, but kind of just taking a break from everything, from the political scope and everything, because it's just been like so depressing. But of course, I open up Twitter and I see Ryan Knight going in on AOC. So you're seeing this tweet right here from Ryan Knight. I was peeping that Joan, and I was like, damn, what'd she do? Then I went to this article by Eric London on the World Socialist website, and I read through it. So I picked out a couple clippings on here. Of course, I'm going to link the article below so you guys can read the whole thing. But I feel like the clips I picked out gives you the gist of everything. That's what I try to do with articles in general. So we're just going to go ahead and read through the clippings I picked out, and I'm just going to get my commentary on it as usual. Let's get it. So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez denounces socialist and praises Biden administration and the Democratic Party. Now, all right, so he's going to get into it, so I'm just going to go ahead and start reading it. On March 19th, the Democratic Socialist of America's magazine, Democratic Left, published an interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in which the Democratic Congresswoman and DSA member combines the most lavish praise for the Democratic Party with vicious denunciations of socialism. The DSA has treated the interview as an important political event. This is the first time their official magazine, again, I repeat, this is the first time their official magazine has interviewed the New York Congresswoman, and the interview was carefully prepared before publication because AOC only goes to places where they kiss her ass and agree with her, just like any other politician. So that's probably why she feels right at home in the Democratic Party. Though Democratic Left editorial board member Don McIntosh conducted the interview on January 26, it was posted only 7 weeks later online. The choice of interviewer is also significant. McIntosh is a high-level operative in the AFL-CIO with close ties to the Democratic Party. He is listed as an author on the AFL-CIO's press office website and is a longtime promoter of Democratic politicians and candidates at the NW Labor Press, which he edits. In the interview, Ocasio-Cortez presents the Democratic Party as having completely transformed into a working class party. She says the Biden administration and incumbent Democrats are totally reinventing themselves in a far more progressive direction. Yeah, like that $15 minimum wage they just put into the bill. Oh, wait, right. Pressure from the left has forced almost a radical change among entrenched Democratic leaders. What is needed, she says, and they turn deeper into Democratic Party electoral politics because that's AOC's bread and butter now. Speeches and fucking donations. The only barrier to the Democratic Party establishment achieving perfection is left-wing opposition. This politician who made a career criticizing the Democratic establishment and posturing as an outsider has now transformed herself into the establishment's fiercest defender and a most bitter opponent of outside critics. I like the way this guy fucking writes, man. He's really nailing this shit right now. McIntosh says, or asks, some on the left have looked at Biden's record and his difference with the Bernie wing of the party, like locking up black people, warmongering, fucking over working class people, those types of differences from the Bernie party. And they conclude that no progress is going to come out of the Biden administration. What's your view? I mean, we did get like a blackish vice president woman. Oh, but then she also locked black men up at record numbers. Oops, sorry. She replies, well, this is my AOC impersonation again. Well, I think it's a really privileged critique. We're going to have to focus on solidarity with one another, developing our senses for good faith critique and bad faith critique. So in AOC's mind, good faith critique is when Cenk Uygur, TYT, the Sam Cedar crowd completely kisses her ass and believes all of the gaslighting bullshit she says. And a bad faith critique is when people calls out her fuckery and points her out for it and holds her to task for it. That's a bad faith critique. Continuing what she has to say, because bad faith critique can destroy everything that we have built so swiftly. What have you built? We have no Medicare for all. We have no $15 minimum wage. Small businesses are going under at record rates. The rich are getting richer. I believe it was like they accumulated like $500 billion during COVID, and it's like, and then on top of that, like the whole banking system thing, you know, with the game stonk that happened earlier this year, like says we need heavy there, and that's just a handful of things. That's just 5 things I brought up. There's so many other things. So what have you fucking built? What have you done? Pago, getting rid of Pago. You can't even get a fucking vote to even invoke the Pago exemptions, you know, that you got rid of and everything. So what have you built? And we know this because it has in the past, and it's taken us so many decades to get to this point. Yeah, to get to the fall of the American empire. That's where we're at right now. We're in the middle of it. Jesus, man. We do not have the time or the luxury to entertain bad faith actors in our movement. And that is her again. These fucking publications like The Intercept, like the DSA, they're running cover for AOC right now. Jacobin, and I like some of Jacobin's work, just like I like some of this website's work, because they be talking some bullshit on here sometimes. I think the editor, that was the guy on Jimmy Dore's show, like literally attacking him for talking to Magnus Panvidya, like just for talking to the kid. And like, look, whether you agree with him or not on every issue, for the most part, like I agree with him on a lot of shit, and he's even changed my mind on certain things, which I'm going to do a video about soon. I'm doing more research on it. You guys probably know what it is, but I've changed my mind on that a lot, like a complete 180, whatever, the 360. I failed math a lot. I didn't go to college. but yeah, so like a lot of these publications, but Eric London's good from what I've read from him, you know, over the years, and what I've seen, you know, on different people's shows, them covering his articles and everything. For the most part, he's pretty good. So, and he's eviscerating her in this article. But yeah, like you're talking about, we don't have the time or luxury. You guys are not wielding your power. So yeah, we really don't. But I'm going to continue. Such bad faith actors, Ocasio-Cortez says, only betray their disdain for the poor and oppressing by criticizing the president. Ocasio-Cortez adds a noxious dose of identity politics to the old Democratic trick of presenting left-wing opponents as aiding the right. For anyone that brings up, i.e. opposition to the Biden administration, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the message that you are sending to your Black and brown undocumented members of your community, to your friends, when you say nothing has changed? What I'm saying is that Black people are still getting locked up, killed in the streets. What I'm saying is that there's still kids in cages. What I'm saying is we're still bombing the fuck out of like over 7 different countries. What I'm saying is he's forcing us back to stay in Afghanistan. What I'm saying is he's forcing us into conflict with Syria, China, Russia, keep going down the line. And what I'm saying is that his relief bill in some ways gave people less money than Trump's. But think about that. So that's what I'm saying. When you say nothing has changed, you are calling the people who are now protected from deportation no one. And we cannot allow that in our movement. I'm glad I'm not in your movement, shorty. I'm really glad I'm not in your movement, because that's some bullshit. Yo, man, what are you talking about? Like I just said, there are still kids in cages. And guys, I'm going to be getting around to that story. I've been seeing it going on a lot, like I said, during this, you know, kind of break I've been taking. But I'm going to get on top of that story. But like, they're like literally banning. I'm gonna let him bring it up in articles. I think he talks about it in the article. Ocasio-Cortez saves the most vituperative. Did I say that right? I'm usually good at pronouncing words, but I've never seen this word before, so I'm going to try and pronounce it the right way. Saves the most vituperative comments for the genuine socialist opponents of Biden. When asked, what was your path to joining the DSA? What was your path, AOC? Ocasio-Cortez responds by repeatedly stressing what makes the DSA distinctive from other socialist groups. We felt like there wasn't this class essentialism, but that this really was a multiracial class struggle that didn't deprioritize human rights. Frankly, I was really impressed. What she's saying is that like this, the thing about her and the DSA gives her cover. The DSA allows her to do this gaslighting bullshit, which is why she likes the DSA. And he actually goes on to explain more like about this. So at the end of the interview, she praises a number of DSA members running for office as Democrats by saying they are people that you want around, and they are not cynical. They do not engage in more socialist than now. They are just relentlessly positive. This is what Max Blumenthal was talking about. You guys know I covered that Fax Blumenthal video. It should be a link popping up for that video. Go check it out, because Max Blumenthal, he's one of the real ones. So, but this is literally the Obamification of AOC. Like, this, it's like its final form. I'm not a big anime guy, but I think that's like a final form for Goku or whatever, Vegeta, whatever. I don't watch anime at all, but like, this is like final form Obama model politics of AOC. This is literally like, pull your pants up, Barack Obama. This is, maybe you shouldn't say Black Lives Matter, Barack Obama. This is, all cops aren't bad, Barack Obama. This is what this fucking bullshit is. The reason why she likes the DSA is because they don't hold her to fucking task for anything, and they kiss her ass and follows her right into the fucking sheep pen that is the Democratic Party. She's a sheepdog. She's sheep herding you back into the Democratic Party, a pro-war, far right-wing party. That is what she's doing right now. This is what Bernie's been doing, but she can do it better than Bernie, because Bernie's an old white guy. You know, it's very easy for people to turn people against Bernie. You feel me? It's very easy to do that. However, or to poke holes in Bernie, basically. However, it's much harder to do it to a young Latina woman of color. It really is. And that was one of the reasons why I was fucking with her when she first came out. But then she started saying some bullshit the longer she was in office. She got swallowed up and consumed by the machine. And it doesn't matter, regardless of whether she takes money from corporations, which she does, or not. Even if she didn't, if she was saying this and wasn't taking money, as you guys know, I say on this channel, you guys are probably getting tired of me saying it. That's even worse, because if you're good at something, never do it for free. I wouldn't necessarily respect you if you were getting money for it, but I would be like, okay, at least, you know, you're kind of smart. You're like, I know what you're doing. But it's like, when people tell me like, oh, they don't take money, then why are they doing this? They're literally just pussy. That's the case. That's what you're saying. They have no balls. That's what this is. If she's not taking corporate money, that's what this is. So I don't know what you think they're doing. Look, she takes money. I already showed y'all that on my channel. She takes money, but at the end of the day, regardless of whether she does or not, this is bullshit. This is what she's saying right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue. The reference to class essentialists deprioritizing human rights shows Ocasio-Cortez and the DSA are working in line with a definite political tradition, American anti-communism. That is exactly what this is. This is them putting a pretty face, like trying to put a pretty face on corporatism by calling it socialism and definitely distancing itself from communism and everything. And look, I'm not the biggest communist thumper out here. I'm just, and y'all know I say this on my channel as well. Look, take the best ideas of shit that works. There are some communist principles that work. There are a lot of socialist principles that work, and there are some capitalist principles that work. I think we should take the best ideas of all of that, put it together, and see, do it that way. So I'm not one of these people that's uber like, oh, I'm super communist or I'm super socialist or super definitely not super capitalist, but like, I'm also not going to sit here and distance myself from communism. Like y'all know on this channel, I stand up and talk about China. I stand up and talk about Venezuela. I talk about when they try to demonize the ideas of communism and socialism and things like that. And I'm honestly going to be talking about that more on the channel as well. That'll be more of a learning experience, because I'm, still learning about certain things. Like, there's obviously the blatant bullshit out there. Like, a lot of my critiques of like capitalism and shit like that goes through foreign policy. So when I'm talking about communism and socialism, a lot of it is through foreign policy, because I feel like our foreign policy has been dictated to not letting, socialist or communist, governments and democracies come into fruition. So nothing socially progressive can emerge from this morass. And that is facts, B. Super facts. Put a cape on it. The Democrat, now here he goes into the history of the DSA, and I found this very interesting. The Democratic Socialist of America has its origins in the 1982 merger of the New America Movement, a successor organization of the student protest group Students for a Democratic Society, and the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee, founded by Michael Harrington, who became the chairperson of the DSA upon its foundation. Harrington's DSOC was explicitly politically rooted in post-war Shatmanism. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh no, Shockmanism. I think that's how you say it. Shockmanism, whatever, however you say that. The tendency led by Polish-born ex-revolutionary Max Shachtman, while the NAM's predecessor, the SDS has been the youth wing of the Shachtmanite-dominated League for Industrial Democracy until the organization split in 1965. Max Shachtman joined the communist movement in 1923 and co-founded the American section of the Trotskyist left opposition along James P. Cannon after the Stalinists expelled sympathizers of Trotsky in 1928. After breaking with the American Trotskyists in 1939 to 40, Shachtman drifted far to the right. Under the pressure of the post-war boom, his earlier principled fight against the Stalinist degeneration of the Soviet Union was transformed into the anti-Marxist position that the Soviet Union was a bureaucratic collectivist regime and that the bureaucracy was a new ruling class whose human rights violations justified socialist support for American imperialism in the Cold War. So basically, if this sounds familiar, this is why AOC always defers to the party when it comes to Venezuela or Syria or the BDS and the Palestinian movement or Julian Assange or with Assange, she outright calls him a criminal. But this is the same bullshit. This is the same DSA bullshit. He rejected the revolutionary role of the working class and ended his career as an advisor of the AFL-CIO and a supporter of the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Vietnam War. Jesus fucking Christ. Harrington was a supporter of Shachtman, and both served on the board of directors of the League for Industrial America. At the SDS's founding, Harrington pressed the group to take a more explicitly anti-communist position against the Soviet Union and national liberation movements like the Viet Cong. Anti-communism was Harrington's emotional touchstone. Todd Gitlin writes in the 60s, he had formed his politics with the brilliant and bitter Max Shachtman. This orientation primarily served the foreign policy interest of U.S. imperialism. Again, I will repeat that again. This sounds familiar, I know. This orientation primarily served the foreign policy interest of U.S. imperialism. Harrington would later demand that socialist organizations play a pro-American Cold War State Department kind of role. So this is why, people like this didn't get assassinated in the 60s like Martin Luther King did, like Malcolm X did, like Fred Hampton didn't get jailed like so many of the other, activists, during that time period. This is why, because they bowed down to the establishment. They bowed down to the war machine. They don't speak out against them. They morphed into that. And that is why you see the ilk of AOC now. She's the 2.0 version. She's the DSA Obama. That's literally what she is. And the reason why people like me target her is because that is, again, she's the DSA's version of Obama. And that shit needs to be torn down immediately. They function entirely within the Democratic Party. Harrington, that's why they're there to stifle third parties. This whole part of the article is basically explaining to you like the mindset behind people, especially leftists and so-called progressives that are against forming a third party. This is explaining to you that dumbass mindset. They function entirely within the Democratic Party. Harrington, Shachtman, and SDS each supported Democratic realignment, which argued that American foreign policy interests could be served by breaking with the Southern segregationists from the Democratic Party and reorienting toward the trade union bureaucracy and the upper middle class. So That's also another thing you said. Though Shockman urged an approach to the AFL-CIO, Harrington called for the adoption of early forms of identity politics. Peter Drucker explains in his book, Max Shockman and His Left. Mike Harrington became the leader of ex-Shockmanite socialists who refused to concede the dominant role in the Democratic coalition to the AFL-CIO. He looked instead for compromises between labor leaders and representatives of New Politics and a loose network of progressives, mostly Latino, feminist youth, countercultural, and anti-war ferment of the 1960s. He drifted away from Shockman's version of Marxist orthodoxy. The differences among socialists were enmeshed in divisions in the Democratic Party. The realignment strategy, which Shockman had imagined would allow socialists to work together effectively inside the Democratic Party, turned out to be a formula for forcing them to choose between rival Democratic politicians fighting for primary votes and inter-party offices. And that's the bullshit you're seeing now. Why they always, like, when the AOC wasn't, backing certain progressive candidates and shit like that. This is why. This article was very revealing, honestly, very informative. And what does the DSA have to show for a half a century of working with the Democratic Party? The party has abandoned any pretense to social reform. It has waged permanent war and overseen a massive growth in social inequality. The realignment strategy paved the way for the Democratic Party's rapid movement even further to the left or to the right. So this goes in line with what Thomas Frank was talking about in his book Listen Liberal, where the Democratic Party realigned itself. Well, you see the DSA side of the Democratic Party, the socialist side of the party, progressive side of the party was laying the laying the traction for that, right along with Bill Clinton and the corporatists. So again, this is revealing. It succeeded in facilitating the Democrats' adoption of identity politics based on doling out privileged positions to corrupt representatives of various racial groups and a more open acceptance of human rights imperialism. Ocasio-Cortez and the DSA are carrying forward their pro-imperialist, anti-communist traditions into the 21st century. Their main role, as expressed in the interview, is to serve as gatekeepers of the bourgeois political left, channeling social opposition into the Democratic Party and placing its left opponents beyond the pale. Those who fight to mobilize the working class essentialism for a break with the Democratic Party are cynical bad faith actors who want to destroy, i.e. this is why AOC tries to get Jimmy Dore kicked off YouTube by saying he's committing violence for calling her out on her fuckery. This is why Ryan Grimm goes out and lies about Breonna Joy Gray, which he wrote another article about Breonna as well. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but I'm gonna check it out because apparently she was on some bullshit too. So I'm gonna check that out and let you guys know what I think about it. But this is why you see, this is literally the Young Turks like ideology right to a T as well. So this is why you see that, and this is that Sam Cedar as well. This is why you see that. But the frenzied tone of these McCarthyite attacks betrays a high level of anxiety in leading Democratic Party circles over the growth of social opposition to conditions of massive inequality and a ruling class's response to the pandemic, which has killed over 550,000 in the U.S. alone. Under these conditions, Ocasio-Cortez and the DSA serve as the keystone in the architecture of the capitalist political system. This is a lesson of the reactionary role played by the political tradition that calls itself democratic socialism, which really has nothing to do with socialism at all. And that is facts. B, another one. Super facts. Put a cape on it, son. So well-written article, man. Everything he said in that article was true. And this is basically what people like me, Jimmy, Graham, Unapologetic, Frank Analysis, Mike Hinkle, I think that's what his name is. I'm sorry if I didn't get his name right. I've recently been watching his videos. So Jackson Hinkle, goddamn, I called him Michael. But yeah, this is basically what we're all saying. Like, we're not trying to play this holier than thou game. What we're trying to say is, yo, you got elected to fight and you're not fighting. You're like literally transcending into or not transcending the party because it would be rising. You're literally like transmuting yourself. See, that's another one. As you can tell, I didn't go to college. You're literally becoming one with the Democratic Party instead of changing it. You're going along. So, and he sums that up in this article very well. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close the video out here. As always, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening, hit that thumbs up button. Definitely share this video and subscribe. If you're watching on Odyssey, hit that flame emoji, hit that thumbs up button. And, you know, if you're able to donate some library coins to help support the channel, it really helps out a lot, guys. And I just appreciate all the love you guys are showing me. I know I've been talking a lot of bullshit about this, but I finally got the setup. One of the reasons why I haven't been able to do the live streams, which is what I'm talking about, is because I couldn't get my setup right. My equipment's been acting up, and I recently had to convert all of my fucking software over to my laptop because my computer's acting all wonky right now. So, but I am going to try to do a live stream this Saturday. I'm 85% sure that I can do it this Saturday. So definitely look out for that. And Friday, you are getting a fan comment video. I'm doing that shit. I'm just going to take the comment from any video that I've watched. I'm going to take a comment, or any video that I've made. I'm going to take a comment because there's been a couple comments I've liked, and I'm going to make videos about them. I'm probably going to do about 5 to 10 comments. So definitely watch the whole video to see if your comment got in there. And yeah. So on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and close the video out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.